Hello everyone and welcome to Khorne's Campaign Mechanics. We are going to be making a series called Carrot and Sticks. It's going to be the first episode. And for Carrot and Sticks, we are going to talk about carrots, which are good things for each race, and the sticks are the negatives for each race. So let's get into it. Skulls and the Skull Throne. So basically skulls are the replacement for money. And the replacement for money, you can earn them from battle sieges, post-battle decisions, dilemmas, basically everything like money. But here's one change from money. There will be skull piles where it will be spawned by everyone in the world. They are spawned by enemy armies doing battle, and they're spawned by you doing battle. So we can collect the proceeds and like get more money. So what does this mean? Is basically it looking like Khorne's economy is going to be based off of doing battles, which makes sense. Only problem in this is going to be recruiting armies, but I feel like they fix that later on. So let's continue on with the skull stuff. Skulls are used for a couple things. Building the skull throne, which they don't tell us. That's not actually a mechanic in here. It's just a turn of phrase, tongue in cheek a little bit. Just basically, this means nothing. This is flavor text. Whenever a large stockpile has been collected, it is expected, nay, demanded that it be lain at the feet of Khorne, such that he may pile the skull throne in iron. I'm not sure what this means exactly. We may have to give him. We might get a dilemma where we pay him, or we can scorn Khorne. Don't know what that means. It's dependent, but we are shown that we get a big carrot. This isn't a stick at all. Like if we probably choose to don't give him the pile, then we probably get nothing. But us doing it, we get a massive set of buffs, including bonuses to post-battle loot and movement range bonus after raising settlements. Meaning that's either a choice after the battle that we give some to Khorne or whatever, or it's actually when we pick up a stockpile. Don't know, but this doesn't sound like a stick at all. This sounds like a big old carrot. This is not a big old carrot, but like a good carrot. So continuously fire and destroy. If Khorne must occupy a settlement, it will be a significant cost to skulls as the place will be properly adorned. Meaning, it's gonna cost you a lot of skulls to fight or to occupy a settlement. Now, I don't know if this is a ruin, occupy a ruin, or if that's occupy an actual settlement, and it just means we forego the skulls. That's the problem with CA in this. They really like to flavor text a lot of things, which this could be flavor text, or it could be actually it's going to cost us to settle no matter what. So that's the thing to keep in mind when we actually see Khorne. Sacking and raising are options 90%, are better options 90% of the time. Sacking. Looks like everyone's gonna Khorne is be a sacking race. He's gonna sack a lot. He's not gonna earn a lot of skulls. Maybe he is. Who knows? But raising probably isn't your best option. But raising is a pretty good option later on when we see another mechanic. So, okay. here's the thing. Sorry, music a little bit. Lower it a little. I don't feel like I need to yell. All right, so first off, okay, what is the stick in this function? Some would say it's that your currency is the same as later on, like using it for research. You're gonna have to use skulls for research. You're gonna have to use it to build buildings, and yada yada yada. And these bonuses here, you're gonna have to give some function of them. Khorne's throne, skull throne. Yeah, but I don't see it as a problem. The only stick here is his roster. His roster is filled with a lot of melee boys. He doesn't have any range except for pretty much this boy, Vulcan. And he has no magic. So that's his stick, is that Khorne is actually fairly balanced with the mechanics, and his units, you will see with the mechanics, is a lot of carrots. Wow. His sticks are range units and magic. So we'll see like how these guys actually play. Like all these guys, and figure out like how Khorne works. Khorne might be an auto-resolve stack. Just constantly auto-resolve. Maybe the skull mechanic isn't that bad, because it'll generate from buildings, and we don't know. So the cost of this is the only big cost. The problem here is occupying settlements. If that is just eating a settlement and being in garrison and taking it over causes him to pay for a settlement as if he was settling a ruin, then yeah, that's gonna be a slight problem. But that gets fixed later. We'll see. Blood calls. Oh, when Khorne forces overruns the garrison, the settlements do. Luckily, quick blah blah blah. That's just all. Flavor tax. Two new options are available for Khorne forces raising a settlement. Skulls for the Skull Throne generates 1,000 skulls for your purposes, which might lead to this being flavor tax, or no, not that. This might be flavor tax, and might just be when you do a stockpile. To get 1,000 for raising a settlement, or destroying the settlement, killing people. But that's part of those 1,000 skulls for the Skull Throne. Then the second option is Blood for the Blood God. Greatly replenishes your forces, meaning if you lost like 90% of your army, this is probably a choice to pick. And then also spawns a new Blood Host army. Now, this is an AI army that you cannot control. It acts like the old Wa and Peace Tribe armies, where you give them a target and they go off on their own, or they just go off on their own, cannot replenish or whatever. But they cost no upkeep, which sounds really good, and it just gets better. The power of these armies scale with how many you have created, though number of the units spawned with can be increased through various means. Meaning there is probably technologies here to make these guys better, which I would probably suggest doing. As you can imagine, this army wanders off and raises settlements, spawning another army. So these guys can actually snowball. If they blow up a settlement, they can build make another army, and then those two could go and attack more places. And literally, this could spiral out of control. Here's the interesting. These guys spawn with their full movement, so they get to go immediately. They will generate skulls from suicide battles, and if I remember correctly, they give you experience too. I've read somewhere where they give you experience if they die. Oh, I read something. I swore I saw. Maybe it's in Bloodletting. Anyways, here's the feature that I'm like not too worried about: colonization. We're doubling the power of the army is passive colonization. Should Khorne, a Khorne faction, should Khorne have a settlement in a province it shares with raised settlements, the settlements will eventually be automatically colonized at no cost by that faction. Those can be that's what bloodletters are. We'll read bloodletters like this like right here, this paragraph clearly takes this stick of significant cost of skulls to occupy a settlement and just throws it into the literally the stick becomes a carrot. Yeah, it costs you a significant amount of skulls, but if a province has 4 settlements, usually has 3, that means if it costs at least 1,000 skulls, as long as it has one other settlement, you can raise that settlement and you get all of your skulls back. Meaning you lost skulls. And you will occupy that other settlement from. So, compensate. Really compensate. Okay, bloodletting. Gore and slaughter, fine sustains them as milk and bread, blah blah blah. So it's basically saying, okay, here, if you keep on fighting, you will gain replenishment and growth faction wide. But if they stop, they lower replenishment and lower growth faction wide. As well as less lust for battle from the army itself. Probably meaning some bonuses you get there. Some hidden bonuses. So, is this a stick? No. If you're doing where is it? Sacking a city. If you have a sack city, there's no problem here. And when we get to Zinch, I'll bring this up, but it's seeming like Khorne, depending on how this bloodletting works, it might be where you would want a back pocket sack city, where you just sack a city over and over and over and over and over again, or have like one situated if you're not trying to expand. So as long as there's keep on being battle, you get better. For every army that you have rampaging across the land, it will impact your growth rate, replenishment, global times, and more. As you can imagine, having a number of blood host armies, I'm guessing that's the regular armies, or the blood for the blood god, or yeah, blood host army. That's the AI army. All increasing your growth rate along with your main, more powerful army is extremely powerful. With the amount of death and destruction handed out by Khorne faction on a regular basis, they can exist at a negative favor gain if needed, given the constant influx from battle's fault. So, I just want to point out there's a strategy for Warriors of Chaos and Norska, where you, and I think maybe Freeman, where you live at a deficit. You're always negative money, but you're doing so many battles that you offset. Might not be too much for Khorne to be able to do that, but sounding like straight up we will have like this is what they like. I mean, I want to put Pat's Khorne. We always attack. Alright. Unholy manifestations and cults. Okay. Khorne's unholy manifestations are kind of crazy. Because 15 turn cooldown summons a small hostile army that will attack. Sorry, will attack the target army immediately. That's internal war. You get that right off the bat, and that's 15 turn cooldown. That is pretty good. So this doesn't matter too much. We would actually I should talk over it. It is working where each god has their own corruption, as said in the Zinch blog, where there is Khorne, Slanesh, regular, Nurgle, corruptions, Chaos Corruption. And if you get a certain amounts, you get these other ones unlocked. So let's look at Call of Battle. Gives an army plus 50% campaign movement range. Now this sounds like just a single buff that has a cooldown, which is good. And we will get to Zinch where I pressed something that sounded way too good and it sounded like a global buff. This just seems like one. Water Incarnate doubles an army's skull gains from battle for several turns. Place that in your main army. There you go. Sounds pretty good. Doesn't seem that bad. Khorne's Glare disables a friendly army's movement for several turns. At the end, it raises the local settlement automatically and gives it a massive number of skulls. Oh boy. Oh boy. So this is really strong. We don't know yet whether or not. I don't think Khorne can ambush, but we're not totally sure yet because there's some factions that can ambush that. Probably shouldn't, but they can. Who knows? Khorne might be able to ambush. Who knows? But that sounds pretty strong. Biggest thing is this. Ah, here it is. This is what it was. Spawns a small Khornite army to attack your own army. Wait, what? 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 You get free experience? I've read this totally different. I thought that was an army attack another army. That's attacking your target army. That's still good. Triggering Bloodletting, giving you Skull's favor, and oh wait, nope. Skulls isn't the currency, it is favor. Back to favor. So really, that whole skull thing, carrot, complete carrot. It's complete carrot because you wouldn't get favor otherwise. Favor is the currency. Oh no, that's way too strong. Okay. Sorry, I'm like legitimately skulls aren't. I thought this was balanced, but no, I'm discovering this. So that's good to summon on your main army over and over again, basically. And let's get to their cult build. Hideout, which is the first gen, generates a steady supply of skulls per turn. That seems pretty good. Gives a bonus skulls with every battle fought in the province. Pretty good. Generates a large supply of skulls per turn if a board of any faction is present. Sounds pretty good. Basically throw a lord nearby and large supply of skulls, or throw it into other factions' territories. Still really good. And an arena destroys cults upon completion, but teleports your faction leader and army to the settlement. So basically, free movement, which is pretty strong. I don't know if there's a cooldown for that, but I don't know. Now, I'll express this again when we talked about Siege, but my big problem is, and my big word is big curiosity, is are these cult buildings allowed to be built in your own settlement? Or are they have to be opposite? And we'll get into that a little bit more with Zinch because the way they worded it is that it acts sort of like, as far as I can tell, acts like Skaven Undercity. Or actually a better phrase would be the Pirate Coast Pirate Cove. Or Vampire Coast Pirate Cove. They are single building slots, and you can shoot one of 4 of them. Which sounds like that. Problem is like, they need to emphasize more on like, can you build this in your own thing, because it's based on where your corruption is strongest. So that's my question. Now let's go to the tech tree real quick. There is 8 sections. Is it? Let's increase it a little bit more. There we go. There's 8 sections of this. There's Pillar of Rage, Pillar of War, and then there's 6 more, as seen by this. And you only need 3 to move on. But also note, these cost skulls. This costs 50 skulls. This box costs 50 skulls, this box costs 100. I'm guessing the third box costs 150, 200, 250, 300, 450, so on and so forth, up all the way to the 1. That's the case, and now knowing that skulls aren't money, no problem. There's 0 problem with this. Are so good without problems. So, clearly just saying that Khorne will give, flavor text saying Khorne will not give away his secrets without gaining benefits of the skulls, which is just their way of explaining how to do it. Also, they mention that you can get passive gains of skulls are also available. Though one comes with a diplomatic penalty with all other factions, but calm now. Yeah, like, I don't see a problem here. Diplomacy going down, you're already chaos. And then they go straight into diplomacy. Let's just go straight into diplomacy, because we're going to be talking about this. You get a diplomacy penalty. Gives a fuck. No one gives a care, because you're going to be at war with pretty much everyone. You're chaos. Chaos warriors, Norska, always end up at war with everyone. No one likes them. Dark elves, no one likes them. You always end up at war. So basically it's saying you only can have diplomacy with Skaven, Norskins, Beastmen, Warriors of Chaos, in, and other faction. Slaanesh. Now, they kind of allude to Slaanesh saying that Khorne can only talk to Slanesh out of the Chaos Gods because of all this flavor text saying like Slanesh, what more mortal man can resist, blah 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 blah. So it might be Slanesh is one, but here it sounds like Slanesh, so we're probably gonna get -2. Diplomacy debuffs from technologies and decisions. So but this isn't a problem. You raise stuff and then you get diplomacy debuffs. Guess what? Norscan Beastmen and Warriors of Chaos are still gonna probably like you do killings. There isn't much here in the ways of sticks. I guess the diplomacy is a little bit of a stick. It allows you not allowed to kill. But it's more of a kit. That's, I guess, a stick. There's not much in the way of sticks in this thing. There's a lot of carrots. The stick is here with the unit. And we will have to see. They are changing legendary difficulty, the higher difficulties, battle difficulties down so that it's not as intense. So we will have to see with those difficulty changes whether or not Khorne ends up being good, or whether or not we're gonna have a bunch of bloodthirsters and heralds, or cultists of Khorne, Blood Reaper, those type of people. We'll see.